guys, welcome back to episode 16 of the Tolan Ticket. We're going to do we're doing sits here in Ticket 2. We are live, Tolan Lichty, alongside Justin Price, the priest, and the big fella.
Here at Coach's again on 435 off of the Auto Mall Drive, we'll call this.
Coach's Bar and Grill, where real men dance and play golf.
So you want to start the sits?
Yeah, I'll start them off, but before we do that, let me correct something from the starts.
Okay.
I said that Calvin Johnson had 3 touchdowns last week. I misspoke. He had 2. He should have had 3. Stafford missed him in the end zone once. And I also said Olsen's going against the Giants defense. He's going against the Lions defense this week, who are historically bad against tight ends. So I had to correct those 2 little quick things like fast. And now we'll go on to sits, quarterback position. Who you got first? Who are we sitting this week, Bryce?
I got Cutler. Reason why Carolina D held Josh McCown to 183 yards and 2 interceptions in week 1. And obviously Jay Cutler has been historically bad against the Panthers, and the Panthers defense are, quite frankly, number 1 this week, I believe, if not every single week. So
yeah, against the pass, they'll be probably number 2.
And that's why the wide receivers as well have been downgraded. Jeffrey and Marshall, even I believe Forte's also. And Bennett is part of, I'll talk.
Jeffrey's hamstring, Marshall ankle, and they lost 2 offensive linemen possibly for a long time. So Bears situation not looking good offensively. I got my bust of the week. This one, Matthew Berry at ESPN disagrees with me. He says Foles is number 5 starting quarterback this week. I have Nick Foles as my 12. I say sit him if you're a 10-team league. I think the Colts defense, they didn't do very well against Manning, but it's Peyton Manning. I think Foles showed he can, against Jaguars, he's human. I expect 1, 2 interceptions, maybe a fumble. I just think the Colts defense, even without Mathis, is better than people think they are.
I agree. They're underrated. I mean, that's like the Chiefs going into last year. I mean, very underrated in there. You got halfway through the season, if people started getting on the bandwagon.
If Vontae Davis could shut down Macklin, he's going to have a long day. All right, you have any more quarterbacks, or should I go with my last 2?
No, I'm getting quarterbacks.
Cam Newton, Phillip Rivers. Newton come back from injury, I don't think. I think he'll have a good week, but I wouldn't start him yet. You probably have a different option from last week you started. Phillip Rivers, high risk, obviously, going into Seattle.
But I want to touch base on your sits. I mean, obviously, Nick Foles is your starter, so you're going to start him. Cam Newton probably drafted as your starter, so you're going to start him. Phillip Rivers, honestly, probably been drafted as your starter. If not, and you took 2 quarterbacks super early. But otherwise, I mean, those.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not going to have great weeks, but I mean, you have to start if you have to start. So that's all I got to say on those.
They're moderate risk plays. Foles is a number 5 on ESPN. I have a number 12. You can still start him, but don't expect a huge week, even if a lot of people say you could take one. Running backs, I'll start it off with Eddie Lacy first, coming off concussion. It's Wednesday, still hasn't practiced yet.
True. Who are they playing?
Jets too. That's the Rivers. Jets, 24 rushing yards allowed last week against Oakland. Number 1 in the league. Oakland sucks, granted, but
MJD, McFadden.
Still, I think even if Lacy,
you're talking about
the Jets have good
Eddie Lacy being a completely different tier of a running back opposed to those 2.
Oh, definitely. He's in the league. He's still my top 5 running backs.
I think Eddie Lacy will have a good game. I won't disagree with you on that one.
That's fine. Yeah, I still put moderate risk because, as a running back 2 or flex, you're still starting him, but he's not going to have a big week. He's just not. Ben Tate, not playing anymore, so scratch that. You start Ben Tate, you're an idiot. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. And then I have any Chargers running back. Chargers, Seahawks, good defense. Matthews had a terrible week last week. He had 1 big run. I say bench all of them.
I got 2 here.
Matthews a flex at best.
Rashad Jennings with the Giants here. Arizona D has some injuries, but they're still as advertised. Obviously, Arizona's corners can definitely shut down the lackluster Giants wide receivers, so expect them stacking the box is where I anticipate a lot of bear-type defensive sets there. And then, of course, our good old friend Trent Richardson. Again, he's just one of those guys, you got to sit him until he can prove to you. And the thing is, you got to have him on the roster. He did. He looked very bad.
Bradshaw looked good.
You have to have him on the roster because of his upside, and that's the problem. I wouldn't drop him yet, but dude, if he keeps doing what he's been doing, especially with the mod Bradshaw doing his thing, just taking half of his carries.
Yep.
I think he had, how many targets did Mod Bradshaw have last week, too? He had 6 or 7 receptions alone.
70 yards receiving. Let me do one thing really quick on Jennings, though. I think Rashad Jennings will have a good, he'll catch the ball this week, I think, though, actually. Maybe playing from behind. He had 4 catches last week. So I probably wouldn't start him as number 1 running back, but, you can have him as a flex if you need to.
Again, if Trent Richardson is your number 1 running back, you have more things to worry about on your
But yeah, if T-Rich is your number 1 running back, you're done.
If Rashad Jennings is your number 1, I mean, I don't...
No, I'm not saying it's not high on him.
Yeah.
I'm saying the flex is why you question Jennings this week. Receivers, we got to go a little faster here. You want to go first on them? All right.
I'm gonna say all the week 1 wide receiver pickups. I know some people are big on
Steve
Hearns,
Smith,
Steve
Alan
Smith
Hearns.
Senior.
Senior.
You know, so
Malcolm Floyd.
any Malcolm Floyd of the Chargers, any week 1 pickups. I want to before I throw them in my flags or my starting position. I want to see consecutive weeks.
Yeah,
Only weeks that
consistency.
backfires last year when Andy Royal had 2 monster weeks, started in the 3rd game, didn't do crap the rest of the year. That's the only time it hurts you. Sometimes you got to get players when they're hot, and that's the thing. You don't know.
Keep an eye on those two, though. I think Malcolm Floyd's a guy. He has a bad matchup this week. Keep an eye on him. And Steve Smith, huge week, mainly on 1 play, but still 15 targets from Flacco. So let's look for another week or 2. But if that keeps up, he could be a huge option down the road.
And then I'm going to hit up on Jeremy Maclin. He had
Ooh.
I think his last week performance was he has potential, but it was a little bit of a fluke.
Yeah.
Went up against the Jaguars defense, obviously.
Excuse me.
And the week two,
the night away.
week 2 opponent is much better. Going up against the Colts, we kind of touched base on that earlier.
Vontae Davis.
Yeah. So the Colts defense shut down obviously Emmanuel Sanders and Julius Thomas, and not Julius, but Demarius Thomas in particular. So I think they had 15 points, fantasy points between the 2 of those against the high-powered offense. So
Yeah, he did a good job. Demarius had a lot of drops though too, granted, but still.
and that's why we're also sitting Foles or have him on the sit list. But it's not. You're still going to start him, but he's not going to perform at the level he did last week. So
Boom. I'm gonna go quick here with these last ones. Keenan Allen, I think he's gonna be on the Sherman side, so bench him or put him as your flex at best. Any Browns receiver, I don't like any of them. Hawkins is the one with the most upside. Bench the rest of them. I mean, bench all.
you shouldn't own any Browns player besides maybe Terrence West
And Jordan Cameron.
on a long shot.
And then Tate, have on your bench still. Brandon Cooks, this is the one, there's no stats to prove anything here.
I think him and Drew Brees have a connection yet.
I think they could have a rapport, but I don't feel comfortable starting Cooks right now, even against the Browns. I have a feeling, a gut feeling.
Joe Hayden.
See, that's what I think. I secretly think Hayden's going to cover.
Who's gonna cover Jimmy Graham?
Exactly. I mean,
Someone's going to be open, and I have a feeling with the experience of Colston and Jimmy Graham, it's going to be Cooks.
And Cooks, he's fast and small like Antonio Brown. So even if Hayden guards him, who's to say he stops him? So Cooks could be a bust on my part, but I think he can have a down week. We'll finish off the list here really quick. I have Jason Witten, Colby Fleener as tight ends. Sid. I see Witten with another bad week. He looks slow and old to me, no offense. And I see Colby Fleener being really high risk.
But you have starting Romo as your start, right?
I think Romo still has a good week, but I think Terrence Williams comes out. I think
Williams
Des
and
Bryant
Des Bryant
finally
comes
breaks out. Yeah.
Well, let's stick with the benching of the Cutler, and let's go with Martellus Bennett.
Well, they scored last week, so back-to-back
But
scores.
the
to be on.
49ers defense held Jason Witten to, look, 2 receptions and 14 yards.
Good stat right there.
So that right there,
Priest did the stat for
expect similar week 2
I slacked.
performance. The sit of the week on
Yes.
defense.
This has got to be sit of
Let's
the
just
week.
keep the theme going. The Broncos are going to destroy the Chiefs, and it's going to be bad. As much of a fan we are, we're not going to be doing that anymore. So.
Yeah, Chiefs defense. If you start them, you're in a world of hurt. They're not going to have a good week.
You know, losing Derek Johnson, Danny DeVito.
We talked
Mike
about it earlier.
DeVito.
And to wrap things up, last thing, he was my start of the week last week at kicker. Mike Nugent this week. Who are they playing this week? I had a reason for this. Who are the Bengals playing, stat guy?
I don't even. That's how much Mike Nugent and I have no grace.
Yeah, I'm ill prepared. I didn't write it down. But the Bengals are playing a game where I don't think they're going to have a lot of chances for field goals. I think they're going for touchdowns or they're going to get shut down completely. But I don't like the matchup. Look it up quick. Who's Bengals playing? Who are they playing?
Atlanta, Giovanni Bernardi.
Atlanta.
Check it.
Exactly. They're going to need touchdowns. They're not going to sell for field goals. That's why I had Nugent as a bench this week. So, Nate Rabbits, don't start him in your eliminator game. That's our sits. Episode
That's all I
16. Take a 3 coming up, guys. Stuff. Boom.